This is The Drive with Mark Pinatelli.
New Bern Sporting Goods, gigantic, everything must go sale. And you only have until Friday to get there. And when I mean everything, I mean like everything must go. 3721 Trent Road in New Bern, on the web at nbsports.net. New Bern Sporting Goods, where you're always in the game. And remember, everything must go. Get there before Friday.
We got a phone call.
Joining us now, News Channel 12's Brian North. Brian, a very happy Monday afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Marky. Why does everything have to go at New Bern Sporting Goods? They packing up and leaving? What's happening there? Breaking news?
No, even they're renovating. They're renovating over there.
Very good. Okay. Now we know. See, this is why we go to you, because you're the man with all the information about what's happening in New Bern. So.
At least at New Bern Sporting Goods. I have an inside guy at New Bern Sporting Goods who tells me all the things that are going on over there. He's also a guy who I'm trying to help me figure out who's going to be the next head football coach at New Bern High School. And have you heard anything?
Oh, I've heard lots of things. I've heard they've offered it to several people and no one's taken it. So now they're opening the job back up and trying again. So it's a dicey situation happening. And what on the outside looks like a really attractive job, but with the budget cuts they've had through the last few years, it's, money works, money counts, and follow the money when you're trying to figure out why no one's taken the job so far.
Now, do you think is it all just the money, or does it maybe have something to do with the talent pool of kids that are over there at New Bern right now?
I think if you look deeper into it, they're obviously they're in a downturn right now, but there's about 2 more years you're going to start seeing the talent pick back up again if you do your recruiting over at New Bern. So you got 2 more years of probably some. You're going to have to coach hard, but I think it's money. Look. It's money along with everything else that goes with a New Bern coaching job. And you're talking booster club, you're talking divided factions. There's a lot of stuff that happens. That New Bern football job carries a lot of drama that a lot of places does. So if you're not going to pay you to put up with some of that crap, there's no way a lot of people are going to take that job. People who are qualified, there's people who have no idea what they're doing will certainly want to take that job. But anyone you have confidence that would come in and help get that program back to the level it was used to in a few years, something's going to have to happen money-wise there, I think. Or you're going to have to find a young coach who has a lot of promise, who can make it through these next couple of tough years and build a program. But it's not an ideal situation right now, and it's not going as smoothly as the administration would want it to, I'm sure.
Yeah, and another thing about it, Sam and I were talking about this the other day. And we did an interview, obviously, with Curlings when he made his announcement that he was stepping down. And in the process of that interview, he was talking about, kind of giving some thoughts on his whole time there and talked about how he didn't want to take the job because he didn't want to take over for Chip, who'd done and his quote was, "Nobody wants to be the man that replaces the man." And all of those things you were talking about with New Bern, that is the other thing. There's not a talent pool there. There's no money there. And you got a fan base who is not going to be happy because they're used to Bobby Curlings and 3 state championships. Yeah. As he said, as Curling said it himself, who wants to be the guy to come in and fill those shoes?
Yeah, I was joking with Bobby about that the other day because he's been very self-deprecating. Through those 3 championships, he said, the first one was because of Chip, the second one was because of Clay Jordan, the third one was because of Mike Hughes. So it's not like everyone ever said Bobby Curlings, got the credit. But Look, Bobby Curlings is a 3-time state champion coach, and there's very few people who can say that. And yeah, it's tough. And when you look at what's happening, and it's hard to remember a time when New Bern was going through a dearth in talent like they are now, and whether that's some recruiting within your school district that you need to do, whether that's the way the program's set up. I'm not quite sure why. Every program even goes through some of these little dips in talent, but it shouldn't be like an 0-11 dip. It shouldn't be that bad. And unless things get put together here pretty quick, they're in for a couple of rough seasons if they don't figure out some structure. Look, here's another dip. They've gone through a lot of different assistant coaches through the years. When Chip and Bobby were there through all that success, they had the same coaching staff there all the time, and there was continuity. there's been a lot of turnover in the assistant coaching ranks that has a lot to do with some of those struggles as well. So it's not just money, it's not just talent. There's a lot of different moving parts in this deal where that's caused them to get in the situation they're in now. And now this is a big decision. Who they end up hiring is a huge decision about how this program's going to go forward.
Sticking with the high school football theme, but over in Pitt County, C.J. Johnson, the star wide receiver from D.H. Conley, Holton Ayler's old favorite target, commits to ECU last week. He's got one more year to play at Conley. It sounds like they're probably going to move him to the quarterback position from what I'm hearing. Yeah. But what did C.J. have to say about his decision to choose ECU? It sounds like it was between them and the Carolina Tar Heels. Do you think Holton really had a big influence on C.J. deciding with the Pirates?
I think there was a lot of factors. Virginia Tech came in late, and he wanted. And when these big ACC schools come in, I'll tell you the biggest problem that happened with Carolina is the guy who was recruiting him, the wide receivers coach, left and went to the Eagles. What was his name? Hunter Brewer, something like that. He had a great relationship. CJ had a great relationship with him. If he had stayed at Carolina, it might have been a much tougher decision. But because he left, that made the decision easier. CJ basically said he grew up an ECU fan. He was going to games as a kid. He was a Justin Hardy and Dwayne Harris fan. It's really the only college he's ever gone to watch games. So ultimately, he just followed his heart of how many people get to go play for the school that they're a fan of. And so that ultimately came down to it, and he wants to help turn the program around. Holton going there certainly didn't hurt. He said ultimately it was his decision, and Holton talked to him about all the good things, but that wasn't the major factor. It was basically he grew up a Pirate fan, and he wanted to go play for the Purple and Gold at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium.
Will Rose fans who are also ECU Pirate fans be okay with a future that could see Deuce Fuller and C.J. Johnson along with? I mean, that's a lot of Conley players wearing the purple and gold for ECU. You think the Rose Pirate fan is going to enjoy this era of Pirate football?
I think they can separate, and they got a pretty good guy over there in Midrion Vines, who I think you're going to see have a breakout year this year. He's a guy who played some last year. He's still coming off that knee injury, second year off the knee injury. I think you're going to see number 19, Midrion Vines, former Rose player, step up and have a good year this year. So they'll have some of their own little, whatever those colors are, seafoam green and light blue pride over there as well.
Well, college baseball postseason is beginning, at least from the conference standpoint. It's a whole week full of stuff going on. Obviously, this is very important for teams and the last gasp, if you will, to impress the judges, as I like to call them, before all of the announcements for the NCAA tournament make. And again, I would say for East Carolina, a great showing in this conference tournament could I think greatly improve their postseason possibilities.
Yeah. They're right there in the bubble for hosting a regional. They have 39 wins. The magic number is usually in the 40s somewhere. So you go and win a couple of games down in Clearwater. It helps bolster your resume. Losing 2 out of 3 against Connecticut didn't help. But I think even if they get 1 or 2 wins, I think they probably end up hosting. You're talking about how high a seed of hosting. Any chance to get a super regional host, that's probably out the window, I would guess, unless they have a really good run and win the tournament undefeated. Then maybe that comes back into play. But I think they need to win 1 or 2 games to assure themselves of hosting a regional. But that 40-win plateau is huge when it comes to that.
Well, I want to also mention that when it comes to Vegas, aside from Alan and Doug and the wacky guys from Hangover, only Jennifer and Brian North have been to Vegas more recently, as far as people that I know. I know we don't talk a lot of hockey. Sam and I were talking about this earlier, and I was telling him I don't know enough to at least prove my point. But you've seen expansion teams, and you know what happens when new teams come. They do things to allow them to build their rosters. In my estimation, the NHL allowed the Vegas team to get way too much, right? Like if an expansion team makes it to the final, I think if I'm the other teams in the NHL, I'm unhappy about the expansion process, and I'm eager to make some changes before this Seattle team becomes a possibility from what I'm hearing, that is going to happen too, because then it's going to be Seattle and Vegas will be running things in the NHL. But your thoughts on that from an expansion standpoint? It's weird to see an expansion team be that successful in their first year.
I'm torn on that because, look, if you have an expansion team, do you want them to be losers right away? I mean, I know it's kind of like the whole initiation and hazing, and we don't want to give the freshmen something right away when we want you to work up to be a senior and earn it. But look, they took advantage of the rules in place. You look at what the Panthers and Jaguars did in their second seasons in the NFL. They were both in the conference championship games. It's happened before. We've seen other expansion teams do well. And I can tell you, in Vegas, having been there, we were there when the playoffs started. All the dealers were wearing Vegas Knights jerseys. There was billboards everywhere. This is a community that everybody thinks is just this Shangri-La place where everyone goes, but there's more than 1 million people that live there year-round. And this is the first time they've had something to embrace on a major league level. They've had AAA baseball, but it's AAA baseball. And so now they've got something to call their own and to really rally around, and it's really electrified and united that city of the people who live there. And for people who come in to watch, it's kind of cool too. But I think it's great. Look, when you're hockey, you need other eyeballs looking at you besides hockey purists. And people love Vegas. People love a good story. So I think this gets a few more eyeballs into the living rooms and into the arena of the NHL and Stanley Cup playoffs that you normally wouldn't see. And I think that's good for hockey. Now can they keep it there?
Can we just cut everybody from the Hurricanes roster and just do an expansion draft for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Ultimately, that's why I'm mad.
Right.
That's why I'm mad because my team hasn't been to the playoffs for 9 years, and the Vegas team just boom right to the Stanley Cup final.
You know how hard that is? You know how hard it is in the NHL not to make the playoffs for 9 years?
Yes.
It's almost like you're trying not to make it. So you're talking personnel decisions. I still think that you go back to 2006 when they sold their soul to win the Stanley Cup that year, and I think we're kind of in the middle of that soul selling that we're paying the devil right now, or the New Jersey Devils, whichever you believe. So look, it's all about how you manage your team, and obviously with the turnover in the front office, when Rutherford left, look, he was the guy who kind of molded those teams, and Ron Francis probably didn't get it done the way he should have, and now he's gone, and now we'll see what happens from here. But you got to try hard not to make the playoffs for 9 years, and that's all on the Hurricanes and their front office and their ownership.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the Panthers' new owner, David Tepper? Because we've been kind of having some fun reading stories about this guy. I mean, going so far as to the giant set of brass balls that he sets on his desk in his office. I mean, is this guy just Jerry Richardson 2.0? I can't think of a better person to take the throne of Panthers owner from Jerry Richardson than this David Tepper character.
He might be Jerry Richardson, but he'll be Jerry Richardson who actually talks to the media and holds press conferences. He might be a little more Jerry Jones than Jerry Richardson in the sense where he's going to be more of a face of the team and take more of the responsibility. He's a guy who's been very outspoken about politics and in particular Donald Trump. So we know he doesn't hold his tongue very well on certain things. So it's going to be real curious to see, because Jerry Richardson, I'm trying to think, they've been around since 1995. Do the math for me. That's 25 years. 23 years, and Jerry Richardson maybe in all that time held 15 press conferences. And it's been, really, and he was a guy who would talk to you, but not if you turn the camera on. I've talked to Jerry several times, but not, don't turn that camera on, boy. It's one of those deals. So, so it'll be good to have an owner, maybe have a face of the franchise, but be careful what you wish for in that too. So I'm curious. Look, he's a guy who's been in the NFL. He had ownership of the Steelers, so this isn't a brand new business to him. But maybe he's more Mark Cuban. Maybe he's more, a guy that'll be the face, that'll take some of the pressure off the team, and instead of the locker room having to answer questions, he'll step out there occasionally and answer some of the franchise questions that's been passed off to the players and the coaches before.
I know we got to let you go because you have this important appointment to keep. But did you get a chance to see the restrictor plate racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend? Again, they only do that at Daytona and Talladega. They'll try anything to get some viewership nowadays. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did not. I will tell you that I did not turn on. I didn't even know they were going to be racing with all the rain. I had no idea. And so I didn't even tune in to watch. I'm a horrible NASCAR person.
Oh, well, You're about you par for the course. Nobody else tuned in
I'm
either.
I'm like everybody else. I'm like everybody else right now. That's for sure. Yeah.
You reminded me about it Friday afternoon, and I forgot about it until you just brought it up just now.
Yes. You
The
know,
All-Star race for me is always just kind of a weird event. They change the rules all the time. The only thing you need to see is the last 4 laps in the dash for cash for the $1 million. And now I remember when the $1 million used to be a huge deal. Now it doesn't even seem like a big deal anymore. But so I'm more of the Coke 600 guy. And same thing, longest race of the year. Just let me know when the last 100 laps are happening.
yes, greatest weekend of motorsports this weekend. Looking forward to it. For everybody listening, get more Brian North, News Channel 12 at 5, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock, Fox Eastern Carolina at 10, WCTI12.com, News Channel 12 app, which is free on your Google or Apple device. Download it today. I will let you get to your doctor. Is this an emergency doctor's appointment or is this scheduled stuff, Brian? Just, because we're concerned. Okay.
Yeah, no, just scheduled stuff. Just got to make sure all my hair follicles are coming in the right way.
Oh, man.
I'm failing at that.
I am too, man. No tubes though, right? No tubes or cameras, right?
I'll let you know.
Oh God!
No, don't let us know. No, it's okay.
Not
Keep
playing.
that one to
you know
yourself.
how these things go sometimes. It's not
Films.
playing, but you walk in the doctor's office, look, they need to buy a beach house or put in a new pool or something. Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh, man.
Rubber glove slaps on and no rules, man.
Oh, that's horrible. Well, we'll be thinking about you. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, Brian, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good, Marky.
Guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More to come here on East Carolina Sports Show on your ride home.